Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, folks. Well, welcome to the Go for Diamond call this evening. And Tammy and I are going to be hosting a call that I believe is extremely important. It's probably one of the most powerful tool that you have building your business with Max. This is something that is not to take lightly. It's something that's very simplistic, but also extremely, extremely, extremely important. Demi and I took some notes and are warm and ready to share with you. Tammy, is there a few words you want to share before we begin?
I just want to welcome everybody to the Zoom platform, and it's so awesome to be able to connect around the globe in the comfort of our own homes, and even like Kelly, just sitting out in the balcony enjoying the sundown. It's so awesome. Yeah, we can learn anywhere we are. Yeah, so awesome. Happy to
Yeah,
have you here.
yeah, I totally agree, Tammy. And I think what's really, really important here is to understand how important your story is. And tonight we're going to share with you obviously some obvious topic that you probably already know, but is also a certain level of maturity that comes with the process of telling your story. And that's what Tammy want to talk to you about. Because we can share with you all these wonderful things, but at the end of the day, there's a certain level of maturity that will occur as you start sharing that will give you this better intuitive way of feeling out the prospect as you're sharing. The goal is with your story is to capture the audience so they can relate to your story. And that's really, really important. So what does every prospect want to know? What is that they want to know? Number one is, who are you? Number two is, what do you have for me? Right? Number three is, why should I care about your message? These are the three things that, in different forms, it's really the core of what is people are thinking about. And Tammy and I are going to kind of work around that, around the feel, felt, found scenario, talk about the six components of your story, which we believe are absolutely critical.
But before we go there, it's really important to understand that people buy you first. People do business with people they know, they like, and they trust. So there's an element of relationship building when you're building your business through Max. And what's really, really important to do is to nail that down, is to work on your story, especially when you're new, because often when you're new, you don't really have so much of a story. So it's really important to get product experience so you have some experience around that, earning your first couple of commissions so you can build up a story around that. And it would be more of a goal when you're new, what you want to accomplish when you're new in this. And obviously, as you evolve in building your business and being on the products for quite some time, and then hearing other people's stories, you start to build more of a belief and a confidence level that it becomes a natural thing to share this with people. What's really important is, especially now, we're all online. And most of us are talking to distant people that we haven't talked to in years, high school friends, like all kinds of people that find us, which recently happened to me yesterday, was really kind of cool. But also we're talking to people we don't know. It could be through a third party. So you may know somebody who knows the same person who wants to connect with you, and then you start to build relationships. So people buy you first.
I totally agree. Uh, which brings to the first of the six component is, who are you? The example we wrote here is a teacher, a mother, a doctor, a runner, a businessman, whatever it is that you do. And it doesn't have to be painful. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be something you don't like. It could be just a scenario where you love what you do, but due to the situation that we're dealing today with the COVID-19, where people are looking for ways to subsidize their income because who knows what their current situation is. I think that's a very, very, very common problem right now. So the fact is, what are your fears, right? Or maybe what you didn't like about what you did, right? I can think about some jobs and some things that I've done in the past that I absolutely was not happy, but I did it because I needed a paycheck. I needed to function. And so you could be in that same scenario, right? You're doing something that is your career, and honestly, you absolutely have no choice to do that because that's really what you are trained to do, and it's really the only thing you feel comfortable doing and getting a reliable pay structure or paycheck. And so, there could be a lot of reason as to why you're not happy. What are your thoughts on that point, Tammy?
Yeah, and I think nowadays people are concerned, right? They might be going back to work and have that fear around going back to work. And honestly, I think we've all had so much time to think and restructure, especially people who are not involved in our type of business. People are looking for a plan B because eventually that plan B might end up being their plan A with a surprise, or they're working on it, right? So I think that's really important, is to share with people. I think being transparent is important because people like that. They feel like they can connect to you. They emotionally connect to you as well. So be transparent when you're connecting with people.
I agree. Always remember the expression, and I'm sure many of you have heard the feel, fail, found, the three F's, right? How you feel is absolutely critical for your credibility with that person, right? How you feel will probably be very common to almost everybody on planet Earth. I mean, as much as we think we're different, we're not also different. This is something that I found very, very common. Tammy and I often talk about this as we travel the globe, or we've been traveling the globe. Looking forward to the date when we can start planning this again, Tammy. The fact here is it's so, in fact, humbling to recognize how common we all are. But you watch the news and there's so much drama and gossip around it. But at the end of the day, when you're face to face talking to people, we all have the same fear, the same concerns, and the same feelings. So when you share your feelings about what you didn't like, or about what you're looking forward to, or about what do you fear in reference to why you're looking for another stream of income, I'm telling you, that person that you're talking to may relate to you. And different people will relate to different things. But that's very important. Number one is, who are you? And at that point, by saying who are you is what you do for a living. Always keep in mind what the prospect is looking for, right? And then from there, be in touch with your feelings. Really important. Don't just be about the business or about the wonderful science. It becomes impersonal, and you're not going to connect with the person. You're simply going to tell them the facts, the stories, blah blah blah, but you're not going to connect with the person, and that's really important. The second point is, why were you looking for something like Max, right? Maybe Max at the time is not what you were looking for, but at one point, we'll ask the question, how did you find the company? But I think what's important is, why were you looking for something like Max? This is a question you may want to ask yourself in building your story. What are your thoughts on that point, Tammy?
Yeah, because people are looking, so they're gonna either become emotionally attached to what you're saying and want more, or they won't be interested. So it all depends. I mean, remember, you're not going to connect with everybody. Not everybody's going to be interested in what you have to say. And again, it's relationship, and it has to go back and forth, right? You have to have a conversation in the process and get to know them as well, and not always be about you and your story. So kind of get the feel for it and go back and forth and create some relativity where they can relate to your story. And you say, well, tell me more about your story. And then you kind of get an idea of where they're at, and where they've been and what they're looking for. So you can kind of mix that in together as you're connecting with people.
If I go back and I think back as to when Tammy and I were kind of building our story as we were starting our Max business, we didn't have money, we didn't have success, we didn't have anything, right? So why was I? One of the things as to why I chose Max is because Max had a product that I felt will be long desired, or let me rephrase that, would be desired long after the interest in wanting to build a business. I mean, I know people. I've been in the industry for a long time, and I know people are fickle. Sometimes they get involved, sometimes they walk away, but I knew that what we had as a product is something that will be long-term. And in fact, I was right. I was absolutely right. There is a lot of people. It's interesting. Tammy and I are Facebooking, FaceTiming some things, activities that we do in the weekend with the kayaking and so forth. And we have some long time friends that are coming back asking us, what you're up to, where are you, where are you these days, and what's going on. And the fact is that it's really interesting because there's a lot of credibility behind the science and what we offer at Max International. So why was I looking for something like Max? It's because it has solid credibility, as a solid foundation, as a solid spine that I can rest upon as we are building the business long after the interest and the people that are obviously driven, that wants to build an opportunity. It's a great pillar to be able to build upon. So again, why were you looking for something like Max? Or maybe you weren't looking, but why did you choose to be part of this company? And just go back to that as you build your story. So we're giving you some points that are really important that can really change your life from that point on, in the way your business will look like as you approach people with that refreshed version of your story. The other point is, how did you find Max, right? You remember, Tammy, we got a phone call from someone who was in my downline that actually walked away from my previous company. And I was very, very resistant. I mean, I was not even remotely looking. And even Tammy, I mean, we almost didn't meet him.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling well. Do you remember that? I had a little bit of a head cold coming on. Everybody's towards the end of the year, everybody's tired. We worked so hard that year, and I could feel this head cold coming on. And I just said, Chris, go meet him. I had no idea why he wanted to meet us. And the interesting part is, by the time we got there, he just looked at me and he said, "You're not looking too good." Well, that's not exactly the way he said it, but
yeah, I think that would have been a little too much up front.
But anyways, he could just kind of threw me some pills across the table, and he said, "Just take that and tell me how you feel." It was interesting because I'm usually I connect well because I'm really in tune with my body if something really works. And within, I don't know, about 20 minutes, all of a sudden my head started to get clear. That fogginess from a head cold kind of went, and that pressure that you get with a headache, it went, and I started to get some energy, and I go, what did you just give me? I mean, that in itself was a story for me to really dig in more to what he had to share with us. Because I've never had that feeling with any product ever in my life. Like, I knew, certain things are really good for you because I'm very proactive with healthy stuff. But that one in particular was like, wow, what is this? Because if I'm getting a result with it, I know that we can really help the world getting a result with it. Yeah.
You see, folks, what Tammy just did right now, she just shared her feelings towards why, how she found Max, but she got into the next question is, what impressed you about Max, right? That's that question number 4 is, what impressed you about Max? We'll come back to that in a minute. But you see, again, one is who are you? Just to recap quickly. Number two is why were you looking for something like Max? Number three is how did you find Max? And that's the point is we received a phone call. Someone called me and invited me. I was not open. And you know when you share something like that, the person that you're talking to can relate to the fact that they may not be looking for it either. So now you're playing in their kind of field, and the mindset is you weren't looking, right? But here's what I found, and that's what Tammy just did. Is what impressed me about Max, and then she kind of shared already, right? She tried the product, she got a product experience. In my case, I think it was more like 3 days. I started recognizing something, and I noticed that I was sleeping. You know, I could go on and on. But see that's the point, is that these are the things you want to share. Is many of you on this call, you might have forgotten some of those really important tiny details that can have a very big impact in your business. So that was the point, is what impressed you about Max? Well, it was the product, obviously. In my case, and Tammy also, it was the fact that I was very impressed with the fact that there was a binary system, for those of you who understand what I'm talking about, but it was also a matching check. I was very impressed with this because previously there was no matching check on the binary system, right?
Yeah, other company, yeah.
Correct. So I said that is a really cool thing. So if you help someone grow, you don't just get paid on the binary, but you get a royalty on what they earn in their binary. And for those of you that don't understand the plan, don't worry about it. I know many of you do. And you can always go back to active team under the miscellaneous trainings and look for competition and trainings and understand the details here. But the point here is I was very impressed with the product. The science made a lot of sense. Tammy had a product experience. For me, it took me about 3 days. But also the opportunity. Because at the end of the day, listen, you can have the best product in the world with the best science in the world, but if you make no money, who's going to spend a minute doing it? You got to feed. You got to put food on the table. You got to take care of your family. And Demi and I were in a position where we needed to get paid yesterday, right? So there was no question of wasting our time. So that's the thing that I was very impressed with. And, you know, and maybe one of the reasons Demi and I have been so impactful is because it was absolutely real. And today we're living the result of it. Now, some of you may say, well, we don't have what you have. We didn't have what we had either then, right? So, but it was a belief, and it was towards that vision, the possibility. That's what they got. And that's how we build. Today, it's a reality, but at the time, it was the future. But the excitement towards that future was contagious. Anything you want to add to that, Tammy, until we get to the next point?
And as you grow, your story evolves, right? Because you'll have more experience and your income will become better, and all of a sudden you got something new that you couldn't have been able to have done before on the salary that you had with a job. And you know, I mean, everything evolves in your story. So you know, it's so important to put efforts towards your business, because your story will change in such a positive way when you start impacting people's lives, because then it becomes even more of a personal thing, emotional thing, because now it makes it about other people. When you're new, it's your story. And then as you evolve, you're impacting other people's lives around the world. And, you know, sometimes Chris and I travel, and I don't think we realize it. You know, we get on stage and we have these plans that we're gonna talk about this and share this and train this, and then an emotional part just comes out because it's real, you're there, and you've just impacted this couple's lives where, you know, they didn't have anything, and here's where they're at, or somebody's family who has been so sick and they couldn't afford to go to the doctor, and like just little things that, and then all of a sudden this emotion comes up and you get these tears, and you don't mean to do it, but you just get captured in the moment of it's so real. And that's what we get to live, you guys. And we love to have all of you have these experiences. Obviously right now we're not traveling, but you know what? we impact people's lives through a Zoom chat now around the world. So you can impact people's lives in so many ways. The whole world is watching on Facebook and LinkedIn and, all the other platforms, Instagram. Imagine the youth that you can impact through Instagram. It's just like crazy. I get excited.
Mm. And that's again very important point, folks. Do not underestimate the impact you have in someone else's life. It's crazy how little respect sometimes we give ourselves on the impact that we could have on someone else. You have no idea the impact you can have on someone else.
Mm.
That could change so many things. And it's interesting because as Tammy was sharing, just to show your training tonight how it naturally flows, it's the next point. How did Max change your life? Right? What Tammy was sharing is the results of our traveling, of being on stage, the lives we've impacted. It has changed our life. I mean, things are different now. We know what this can do for someone. And unfortunately, so many people never cross that bridge because they never stay long enough or they never dig far enough to really discover how you can really impact someone's life in this kind of business. They stay at the surface and they never really dig in and sink into it. And the fact is, and that's the last, the fifth component of your story is how did Max change your life? And very important is the breakthrough is the moment when you reveal the intimate moment. Like Tammy was just sharing, when you won, in matter of speaking, it's just an expression here, but you found a way out. You reveal where you found, your way, right? And that will come in all different kind of approach and verbiage based on the circumstance and situation of yours. But that's really important, and that's that brings the credibility of your story. That's where it becomes real in the other person's mind. They feel it. Humans, when we feel something, we vibrate. I don't know if I use the right wording in French sometimes. You tend to share that vibration, that feeling with someone else. It's so powerful. I mean, I've studied this for a long, long, long time, reading about all these things. And I know there's a lot of different beliefs, and I don't really care about any other stuff. What I care about is the impact that I know I've had, that you've had, that Tammy's had, communicating, connecting with someone else. Human beings, we are powerful, powerful individual. And that's why network marketing falls right into this arena where human thrives. And that's why I meant earlier, we never crossed that. So many people never crossed that bridge.
I think the perception out there about network marketing is you're selling products to people. And the truth is, through a story, people want to buy. So we don't go out selling products. I don't sell products. Do people buy from me? Absolutely. You know why? Because there's a relationship built, there's a connection. I'm telling them how I'm feeling, when we're doing all kinds of stuff and at my age, I mean, the energy that I have, I've got no health issues. I'm doing phenomenal, and Chris as well. And we've been on these products for 13 and a half years. So, they work. So I think that's really important. And then, people are looking for something. So they look at your lifestyle and they go, that's why you got to promote yourself on social media and create curiosity posts to bring attraction, because people will buy into your story. And that's how Chris and we have lots of people who connect with us, from high school friends to childhood friends, because they find us. And I'm really glad that I kept my maiden name on Facebook, because people are finding me. I would never have found some of my female friends who had been married once or twice or whatever, but you don't know them because you don't know their last name, because they've changed it. I'm not telling women not to change it, but I think on Facebook, even if you don't keep your maiden name, add your maiden name in there somewhere in your married name so people can find you, because it's really great to connect with people from the past.
So in closing, the point of the component five is sharing your enthusiasm about the future. I understand that maybe the income is not there yet. Maybe some of you, you're getting an income, and maybe some of you are getting a wonderful income, but you're aiming so far that you forget what you've got here, and it becomes kind of non-relevant, but it is very relevant to someone else who would love to have an extra $1,500 a month or $500 a month or $800 a month. And remember, we're talking most likely US dollars here, right? So very, very important. Share your enthusiasm about the future, about what it does, and about your results with the product and the opportunity. But really important, folks, and this is something that we need to underline, is be very, very mindful of product claims, right? Don't make any kind of claims. It is not necessary. It is not needed. It is not necessary. There's no need for it, right? The government did it for us in a sense that the glutathione, they've approved it and they're thriving on it. The information is there on third party. You don't even have to sell it. It's sold for you. And the glutathione reduces inflammation. Well, what happens when you reduce inflammation? Every doctor in the world knows that when you reduce inflammation, obviously the environment in your body is in a better state, right? Almost every disease known to men, and individuals, has to do with inflammation of the body. Everybody will agree to that. So you don't need to make any product claims whatsoever. We increase the production of glutathione through your precursors. That's it. We have an opportunity to share within our social environment, and the company compensates you instead of feeding the fat cats, where the consumers get compensated to a point where, hey, you can become a millionaire sharing this if you're well organized. This is how significant our story is. So again, you can share this. And when you, number 6, complete your sentences. The best part is, I don't have to chase a job anymore. I don't have to hit the traffic anymore. I don't have to worry about my income anymore. I don't have to worry about my future anymore. I have money in the bank. I don't have to worry about these. That's the best part. Add this to your story after everything that we share with you. And obviously, Tammy and I kind of covered a few contents here, a few elements in the contents of the story. Just go back and listen to this call. It'll be recorded. It'll be on theactiveteam.com under the Go for Diamond Call webinars, and listen to it again. So you can take, again, notes on each of those points, because right now you're probably listening and you're comfortable, but you may want to take points on that, because your story is your biggest asset. If you don't have that in check, you will starve in this business. Is that okay for me to say that? Right? If you want to make a living, people have to understand and see what it is you're talking about through your heart and through your eyes. Go ahead, Tammy.
And your story matters, because people need to hear about you. They need to know who you are. And once they get a feeling for wanting to connect with you, I'm telling you, the relationships that you're going to build with people that you would never ever thought possibly would ever happen, is going to change your life too. I mean, some of these people that, Chris, we've known people for 20 some years that we've met through network marketing. And to this day, we have extremely strong relationships with them. They're like family to us. You're building a family. So yeah, connect with people, share your story. Your story matters. You're going to make a difference for people.
I agree. So in closing, a few tips that's very important here, I took note of here, is, and just keep in mind that what I'm sharing with you here is optional. You'll get better as you are evolving in this business. Don't expect to be a professional in every aspect. Some of you probably are already. But here's some of the tips. Very important is keep the time of your story. Be mindful of the time you take in sharing your story, right? Watch try to feel the temperature of your prospect. What do I mean by the temperature? Well, look at their body language. Look at their eyes and their head. Are they always looking at the door? Their eyes, is it flickering a lot? You know, you're so busy sharing and in your thoughts that you don't focus on their expression. And that's the difference between the amateur and the more professional, is the more professional tend to read the body language a whole lot better. But that comes with being comfortable and when you're at ease sharing, right? And so pay attention to their body language, the eye movements, the tone of voice, right? Are they engaging with you, or are they kind of just kind of cutting it short and they want you to move on? And that's all okay. Understand that it's a process as you're sharing with people. Very important. Um, the key is how you feel. Yeah, the point is that, you know, how you feel about the message. It's a very important point, and that's going to be often what's going to make the connection with the prospect you're talking to. When the audience felt or feels the pain, in some cases, it's some people will bring tears into your eyes because they went from such a dramatic area to a complete different scenario. And most of us, it's going to be you know, maybe more at the surface, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of things that you can do when you connect with a person, where I want when you share your story, but keep in mind that they're asking themselves, what's in it for me? So at one point they may be sharing where their pain lies, and you know, how they would love for things to change. And through your story, you're answering that, or at least partially answering that. And then that's when you can build your conversation. So again, it's not just about selling the product or selling the opportunity. So many people in this business come in and leave. Even people who have reached high levels, they're not sticking around. Why is that? That's one of the reasons, is that they don't connect with their audience. They don't connect with their organization, right? It's all a numbers game. It's all about the sell. It's all about the volume. It's all about the science. It's all about the doctors and all of this stuff. It's important, but the human element, the connection, is probably the most important. And that's what we're saying. Your story is your biggest asset, and that's what's gonna make the difference. So if you're too drilly by, you know, giving them information and trying to find out about them, and there's no connection that's occurring, could be the reason why you're having a hard time moving forward. What are your last thoughts, Tammy?
I'm just excited about hearing some stories. You mentioned that we could have a session just on people putting their stories together and hearing them, because I think that's the most important thing. That's how we connect through our story.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, next week, I would love to have any one of you, even if you're not on this call and you're listening to the Facebook Live. And I'm sorry if I'm not responding to the comments, because I'm not watching the Facebook Live or anything like this. I'll comment later. But once you've seen, I would love to get your story, and I would love to get you here as a guest, that you happen to be in West Africa, East Africa, or South Africa, or Canada, or the United States, or the Philippines, whatever. If you happen to be, you want to share your story, would love to have you as a guest next Monday for you to share your story. That would be absolutely wonderful. And try to keep your story within 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I understand in some cases can go for 15 minutes. Some could be half an hour. I get all that. I'm talking the 2 minute, 45 seconds top. And Tammy and I will be in touch with some of you.
People? 6 people with 2 minutes or 3 minutes in between?
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I want to try to see who was going to respond and who's going to be proactive and who we're going to have to chase. We'll figure this out as we move forward, depending on if people volunteer or if we have to volunteer them. We'll figure this out. But just feel free to comment. Maybe you can comment on this video where it's posted on Facebook, or on the WhatsApp group where the Canada USA group, which is originating from, and love to hear from you. Or on a personal basis, it could be connecting with Tammy or I, and love to invite you to share your story following the elements that we talked about in reference to the 6 components. So this is what I had for you guys here tonight. And yes, Maripol, absolutely, you can share. Love for you to have an opportunity to share here. So at this point, Tammy, is there any last thoughts you want to end the call on?
Just have an awesome week and work on your story because your story is what's going to build those relationships that are going to be solid in building your business.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. So I'm just going to end the call on this note, and we hope that this was helpful. Bye for now.